Friends, Susan Axelrod here. Welcome to the Confidence Zone. Focus on it or forgetting it. I was listening to a podcast recently where somebody talked about the idea that when they focus on something, it goes well and things happen. And then eventually they got busy and busy and busy and distracted with all the things, just like we all do. And then they forgot about it. And when that happened, the thing didn't go well. I can't think of any more appropriate or relevant topic here in the confidence zone. Focus is something I speak about all the time. In fact, it's one of the very first things I teach in my intuitive business system course for beginners, beginning entrepreneurs, women in business for themselves, or anyone in business for themselves. Focus, I have an acronym for it. Figure out core, undeniable strengths. Figure out core, undeniable strengths. Now, the person wasn't referencing their own focus on themselves, but rather a program or project focus, let's call it, and really focusing on that program or project in an intense and deliberate way. And then eventually work going on, life getting busy, and that focus getting diluted and eventually forgetting it and forgetting to go back to that thing. So my acronym, focus on core undeniable strengths. In this case, I would look at the word strengths. If you create a project or a program and it's strong, it feels strong, it's showing strong, it's analyzing and assessing strong, it's measuring strong, and there are lucrative or productive or progressive outcomes, that would be a strength. And so I wanted to invite you to consider this concept. Are you focusing on something or did you forget about something? Now, this also applies to the self. When you focus on your, what I call output, perhaps it's a fit life, perhaps it's exercise, perhaps it's an intentional practice that you have, the output. When you forget about it, then eventually, as in my case, those extra pounds come back in. When you focus on it, you're intentionally, deliberately focusing both in your mind and in the physical on what it is that you want to see. You know, I work in the area of visioning or envisioning, or intentionally focusing on what you want to experience or otherwise achieve. And so I want to ask you, are you focusing on the thing or did you forget about the thing? It may be in your personal life, it may be in your business world. Still in all, this applies both ways. For me, I came to this because I heard it. And as always, I applied it in business. Everything I do, I apply to business first. And I could think of, oh, that strategy and that strategy and that thing and that thing, the many things I do and produce. And when I focus on it, it's rocking. And then when I forget about it, it stalls. And then also recently, I realized I put on a couple of pounds, not a lot of pounds. I was given a good package by God and by the genes of my family, by luck and by grace. But still in all, I know how my clothes fit. I know how I look. But most importantly, I know how I feel. And so I have to admit, even though people who know me and follow me do know that I have a pretty good, I call them fit life practices. I've gotten a little lax lately and I forgot about some of my best practices in what I call output. And boy, can I feel it. I can also see it, but sometimes our eyes are judging, but mostly somatically, I can feel it. And so I wanted to come here to speak with you today in the confidence zone, because even just this idea that I'm saying it out loud here, and I want to focus on that. This time I'm speaking to you live, happens to be in the very, let's call it the late winter, just on the cusp of spring. I have a few months before I have to start putting on shorts and maybe a bathing suit even. And so I know that I want to focus on this for my health, my wellness, my emotional well-being, and also so I look good. Nothing wrong with that. Do you focus on it or do you forget it? Or otherwise asked, what are you focusing on? And perhaps if you do one of my 3 R's, the very last piece of my intuitive business system is review. I have a whole system that ends in review. Review, assess, analyze, measure, and revise if needed. And so sometimes it does take a bit of review to see, oh, I forgot about that thing. That thing was awesome. I loved it. I loved going live every day, or I loved writing, or I loved talking to clients. One of my clients in my fundraising coaching world tells me, I always love talking to my donors, but I hate thinking about talking to my donors. And so sometimes I forget it. But eventually, when I focus on it again, I always love talking to them. So what are you focusing on and what have you forgotten? That's what I'm asking you today in the confidence zone. If you want to share in the comments, I'd love to hear your truth. All right, friends, see you again in the confidence zone.